Yes. I'm here with Monte Seehorn, retired U.S. Forest Service biologist and member of the Fisheries Management Hall of Excellence. And I have a few questions for you, Monte. First, how did you become involved in the American Fisheries Society, and why did you decide to be part of the Fisheries Management section?
Well, I ended up in Fisheries Division of the Forest Service, and I'm working in 14 states, so I figured I need to belong to the American Fisheries Society because I'd be working with all these different professionals in that society. So it was pretty much a necessity that I get involved with the American Fisheries Society.
So how did being involved with AFS help your own career?
Well, actually, you could call it publicity. You get, when I'm working with them and working with states and even western states, I've been requested, to even help out there. The more people you work with, it's not just the benefit from learning more. You're going to learn more the more you work with, but you get exposure to, which if you do your job right, the exposure is going to help you in your career. It'll give you a little added backing.
Did you have a mentor or any other individuals that greatly influenced your career?
Well, probably some of the first fishery biologists. I started as a wildlife biologist, but the trout biologist in North Carolina and Tennessee, that was the first two trout biologists basically in the Southeast. Price Wilkins and Bud Ratledge, and there were substantial biologists. I mean, very objective, and just some personal qualities that I appreciated, and so I said, hey, this field would be a good one to work in if this is the kind of people I'm working with. And there was one at Auburn that I worked with a lot. Swingle's successor, and I can't even think of his name right now. Bill something. He's out in Oregon, I think. But all of them very capable professionals, but they were, I guess you could call it humble. They didn't act like they knew. They may have known more than other people, but they didn't act like it, and that always impressed me.
So did you ever consider any other careers, and if so, why?
Well, yes. I've probably been happy as a forester. I started out working when I was in high school, marking timber for the Forest Service, at least one summer. And that particular ranger he's still my sort of idol because he was straight up. I mean, just everything that I respected in a person. And I liked working in timber. In fact, that's been a big part of my job and subsequent to retiring. I've been the biggest promoter of timber harvesting because I worked in wildlife. I'm certified as a wildlife biologist and as a fisheries scientist. And I spent much time, a major part of my job was coordinating Forest Service activities, namely timber harvesting, which is what before the public is the big destructive management and all that. And that was when they the Forest Service sent me back to school for additional training. That's what I looked at. I said, I've got to learn. And I did some work trying to figure best methods for timber harvesting, how to logging techniques, that kind of things, because that's what I'm going to be looking at when I come back. And that's probably been one of my major. I've been a major supporter of the timber program because of what the advantages it has for wildlife. And even as a fishery biologist, I've spent a lot more time than anyone else that I know in the fisheries field, trying to learn about and support and still protect the fisheries.
Excellent. What do you think AFS can do to help prepare our profession for the challenges ahead?
Well, there's a lot of misconceptions, just like I was talking about the timber program and all that. The Forest Service, currently one of the biggest problems they have is doing anything. They can't move a finger without someone saying, hey, you're destroying this or that. And the AFS, frankly, could do a better job at getting into some of that. When the Forest Service gets charged, you're destroying this habitat, and it's going to be the last remaining brook trout because you have this little timber sale up here, when it's not. That's one thing that's been a sore spot with me, that they don't seem to get involved in that. It's people, a lot of biologists tend to go into the protection mode instead of management. It seems like biologists coming out of school now, they've been ingrained with preservation rather than management. And that's been a little bit of problem with me. Of course, I'm the old, as they say, old part.
So what does being inducted into the Hall of Excellence mean to you?
Well, just amazing. I never even had any idea. I mean, it just blew my mind away because I never thought I was the smartest dude around, and I did try to help, and it just, I don't know, it was hard to grasp for me when they did that. And again, I'm sure I had an advantage over a lot of biologists by working a big area and knowing so many other biologists who were supported or, Yeah, it's the most amazing to me. I certainly never thought about myself as a mentor. I guess I started out and I didn't. It's like the Forest Service told me when they sent me back for the fisheries training. They said, you better learn all you can. Said, you ain't going to have anybody to go to. You're going to be it. And for several years, I was the only fishery biologist in 14 states with the Forest Service. So it's sort of, I guess I sort of scared a little bit, but I guess some people sort of equate me to a bull in a china shop, so be it.
What do you think was your biggest contribution to fisheries?
Well, I don't know. The reputation-wise, I was, doing habitat work. Most people don't, and they don't realize what goes in. The biggest contribution I made to me was this coordinating management programs on the Forest Service, and giving guidelines to where you could still do them without hurting fisheries and that. And, I guess I had a reputation of doing habitat work because I got into that. The Forest Service wanted to do some of that, so I just jumped in, not knowing diddly, but ended up with a doing a little publication that, everybody uses or has used overseas and all.
What words of wisdom do you share with students and young biologists?
Well, it probably not make the job any easier, but I don't know. Well, I never have. I never held anything back. That's just the main thing, if you be honest. Do your homework. Some people will call you argumentative, but it's all right if you do your homework before you argue. Don't argue about something. But you just gotta stick your neck out a lot of times. And I say this whether did it the right way or not. I was not politically correct. I stated my piece, and it was against a lot of. They might not follow it, but most of the time the biologists are going to be a staff person who gives advice, not necessarily makes a final decision, and that's basically what most of the biologists are. And so just be honest. As much as anything else, and you'll get a reputation. Somebody can depend on you. Hey, he said it, then you must have some. They don't have to look to see that you've reviewed every paper that's ever been done. Every time somebody does something.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to say some words about a couple of previous Hall of Excellence inductees, and just tell me about them as you can. First, tell me about Fred Harris.
Well, Fred Harris, I knew him when he was head of wildlife in North Carolina, and he was just what I was just now telling you. He was above board, and I thought very objective, and just honest. He wouldn't say something just to do it. You get a political goal or something like that, and I just had a lot of respect for him, as an individual and just his characteristics. That's when you're in a job like heading you're not a biologist when you're the director down there. You're basically a politician. You have to be. And when somebody can stand up for what you should do under some of those circumstances, it's tough. And that was one thing the major thing that I knew about Fred.
Excellent. Tell me about Robert Hunt.
Robert Hunt had those same characteristics, and I worked closer with him. He was a specialist in the habitat work, development. In fact, he did the best research in habitat work, as far as I'm concerned, of anyone. He was so objective that I could never question, if the research said this, he didn't try to guide it another way. He was very, very objective and honest, and when you saw his research, you knew it wasn't finagled. That's the way it came out, whether he liked it that way or not. And he's just a really good researcher. Made an impression on me.
Excellent. Well, thank you for taking the time to be interviewed and provide some perspective and advice for people, and any parting words that you've got.
Well, I was amazed at being in the Hall of Excellence, and mine would be basically what I tried to do. Again, was hang in there and not be politically correct. Have the courage of your convictions. Speaking.
Well said. Thank you, Monty.
Yeah, man.